everyone, and welcome to a new video where we're going to talk about a bunch of different dinosaurs. We will learn a lot of information through the Great Book of Dinosaurs, which has some really cool illustrations and dino facts about all of them. For example, here we have the great Styracosaurus. As you can see, it's using its big horns to engage in a battle against another member of its own species. According to the dino facts, they lived on planet Earth during the Cretaceous period and could reach about 2 meters in height. So let's open our box to keep learning about other dinosaurs. For now, here on the cover, we're seeing a Stegosaurus in the middle of the vegetation. It was a herbivorous dinosaur that mainly fed on plants and fruits. And let's see, look. We have a bunch of different figures, so let's take them all out to learn their names and their characteristics, and let's see which one comes out first. Wow, it comes flying out of the box toward us. This is a flying reptile. Sometimes this type of animal is called a flying dinosaur, but actually, it's called a flying reptile. As you can see, we can notice this big horn on the back of its head. This already tells us that it's a Pteranodon, which lived on planet Earth during the Cretaceous period, about 65 million years ago. As you can see, the figure's box is articulated and quite large. We can flap the wings up and down. As you can see, the Pteranodon was known for having this long beak. Also, on the underside, it had a pouch very similar to that of pelicans. To be able to store food, mainly fish, it used to fly over rivers, seas, and oceans in search of food. It could catch fish both with its beak and with the claws on its hind legs. Let's continue with the next wow, and this one is a great carnivore. Its name is Dilophosaurus, and we know it by the crests it has on top of its head, very similar to a rooster's comb. This time, the Dilophosaurus was one of the first large carnivores that existed. It lived on planet Earth during the Jurassic period, 155 million years ago. It could reach about 2 meters in height and 9 meters in length, from its mouth to the tip of its tail. As you can see, it's a type of theropod. It was bipedal and walked on its hind legs, which were also much larger and stronger than its front legs. It had 3 strong claws that it used both to immobilize its prey and to grab meat and bring it to its mouth. As you can see, it had a large jaw full of sharp teeth. Well, here comes the great Dilophosaurus chatos. Let's see. Oops, we dropped it. Let's see which one is next. Let's see. Wow. And we have a little figure that I really like, especially because it has 2 parts. First, let's look at this side here. As you can see, it's a herbivorous dinosaur, which means it ate plants, leaves, grass, and fruit. It's called Parasaurolophus. Also, the Parasaurolophus was a type of dinosaur classified as a duck-billed dinosaur, and that was because of the shape of its mouth. Also, you already know that I love this dinosaur because of its color. The horn it had on the back of its head. This horn was very special because it was able to make sounds to communicate with the rest of the herd. Its body was quite large and robust, and it had a long tail. It was able to walk both bipedally, putting all its weight on its hind legs, and quadrupedally. Since the shape of its fingers on its front legs was quite special, it could support all its weight this way. The best thing about this figure is that, as I was saying, it has a double part. Here we can see the complete skeleton of the Parasaurolophus, or what would be its fossil remains. Up close, we can see all the details of its skull. It also still has its teeth and a slightly long neck. Some of the dinosaur's bones were large, like those that made up its legs, but they also had tiny ones, like the ones that form its spine or even the tip of its tail. Take a look. Fossil remains are formed by being buried underground for millions of years. Another one over here. Let's see the next one. And it looks like we have another herbivorous dinosaur. It's easy to recognize herbivores, especially because carnivores have gigantic jaws, while herbivores have much smaller mouths, since they don't need to have big teeth because they only feed on vegetation. Also, here we have a very interesting dinosaur. It's called Pachycephalosaurus, and it's characterized by its large head. It's as if it were fortified, an armored head, where it looks like it's wearing a helmet that's as hard as rocks. Also, the back part is full of spikes to defend itself from predators, and even to fight against other members of its own species. It did this by giving powerful headbutts. Also, it was a bipedal dinosaur, and I don't know if you've noticed, but at the tip it had a strong beak to dig in the ground in search of food. This figure also. It has sounds, and its eyes light up in green. It can open and close its jaw, revealing the detail of its tongue. We still have dinosaurs left to discover in the box. And look, how cool! The one coming out now is a dinosaur, one of those with a crown-shaped skull. It's from the family of the great Triceratops, although we can see some differences. As you can see, the shape of its head is impressive. The entire outer part of its skull is covered in spikes. In addition, we also have two much larger spikes on the upper center, each pointing to one side, connected to a third spike that's located right in the center. Also, just like the Triceratops, as I mentioned, it had a strong beak at the tip of its mouth. This type of dinosaur loved to eat tough roots that were underground. I love this figure, especially because of its size, its colors, and because it's articulated. We can move all four legs, the tail, and especially its head, which is something I really like. Let's look for more information about him in the Great Encyclopedia. We'll leave it here. And look, we have some very interesting information. It tells us that its name is Pachyrhinosaurus. In the dino data, it specifies that it could reach between 5 and 8 meters in length and measure more than 2 meters in height. We're looking at a very interesting illustration here. As you can see, these are the droppings of this type of dinosaur. And do you know why they're shown here? Because it explains to us that droppings can also be fossilized. These fossilized droppings are called coprolite. Through them, we have been able to find out a lot of information about this type of dinosaur and also about others. Super interesting. We only have a few dinosaurs left to learn about, but here we have a much smaller figure than the previous ones. As you can see, it's a long-necked dinosaur, although this figure is the smallest one. Actually, these dinosaurs were giants among giants. The Brachiosaurus, in this case, could reach about 24 meters in length. Also, its front legs were bigger and taller than the back ones, since its neck was very long and heavy. Unlike its body, as you can see, its head was tiny compared to the rest of its body. According to experts, it had a brain the size of a walnut, which is impressive. It lived on Earth during the Jurassic period. And let's continue with another figure. Wow, I really like this one too. Also, if you notice, it has a speaker at the bottom. We can hear the great roar of this carnivore. Bye. This dinosaur is called Velociraptor. They weren't very big, but they were able to catch large prey. Also, their teeth, although not as gigantic as those of the great Tyrannosaurus rex, were very sharp and strong. Also, its front legs were very long, and it used them to immobilize its prey, combined with the strong claws on its hind legs, one of which was shaped like a hook. They could run at high speed and use their long tail to change direction while running. And now we've finished today's video. Here are the dinosaurs we've learned about. If you liked this video and want more like it, you can help me by giving me a super like, a thumbs up. And I invite you to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. And now, I'm saying goodbye to you. See you in the next video with more dinosaurs and impressions. Goodbye.